Got that all fixed. Alright, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy and Nate. First off, I just want to say, as I mentioned in my post, I apologize for not live streaming yesterday's massive tornado outbreak that occurred over the south. As most of you know, I am here in Florida, which means one of two things. Either A, I am not with my main computer, and so I wouldn't be able to post my normal stuff, like, as quickly as possible. And on that same note, number two, the Wi-Fi is not exactly the best compared to what I have back at home. So regardless if I brought my computer over from where I live, or if I just used my regular laptop here, it wouldn't make a difference. I wouldn't be able to live stream any of the event yesterday. So once again, I apologize. I also apologize for being on this laptop because it's not the best of quality, but then again, I'm just trying to get the word out here. So Sunday is when we will go back to our good videos, our regularly scheduled program, if you will. So if you guys still would love to hang out for as long as you could, that would be greatly appreciated. And then we'll go back into the daily uploads in the morning. Probably going to start uploading at around 9 o'clock Eastern because the Storm Prediction Center updates at 8. So I want to be able to get in that right as soon as it updates and stuff like that. And yeah, that's practically it. So if you guys want to help me out, like, subscribe, turn on notifications to see videos just like this one, as well as live streams whenever we right in the middle of the events. You guys were wonderful with Morgan last night, so I appreciate you all coming out and spreading the word so much. Alright, let's get into the video here, because most of you all thought that because we had our tornado outbreak earlier, we were done. Well, no, unfortunately, we are not done. It's not going to be as significant as what happened yesterday, but we still could see some interesting severe weather across the board in the United States. So just by taking a look at our convective outlook over the next 3 days, you can see Friday, it's a marginal, which is a small risk. I mean, name and tail says it all. Saturday, it is an enhanced risk for severe storms. That could be localized over the Ohio River Valley, into the Mississippi River Valley, maybe even the northern parts of the Deep South. It doesn't look like it'll impact the areas that got significantly impacted the other day. But it's still something to keep in mind as we go into our analysis further on in the video. So want to watch out for that. And then Sunday, there's also a slight risk that's for the Carolinas. So I know I have some people watch from places like Charlotte, Greensboro, as well as Raleigh. You guys also have the chance for some severe weather on Sundays. Get into all of that in a second. But first, let's take a look at what's happening today. And you can see across the board as my webpage loads here that the marginal risk was pretty sporadic. It's really, when I say across the board, I know it's a figure of speech for myself, a catchphrase that I like to say, but in this case, you'll see here in a second that these risks are really across the board. There's a marginal placed in southern parts of Nebraska, northern parts of Kansas, into Kansas City. There's a marginal right near Arkansas into Memphis and northwestern parts of Alabama. There's another marginal that's from North Carolina all the way down to Georgia. That's the morning risk of what happened last night. That's kind of like the leftovers. There's a marginal up in New York into New England, the northern Appalachians. I mean, it's just all over the place today. So marginal risk because it's a relatively small risk. It's like a 1 out of 5 for the severe scale. If you guys could vision that in your head, it's just not that strong. But you guys still have the chance for some severe conditions. So, for instance, we'll take a look at the hail. So there's a 5% chance in the Nebraska and Kansas areas, as well as the Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama areas. It's a 5% chance of you seeing 1-inch size hail or greater within 25 miles of a point. Then you also have your wind risk. That includes the Nebraska and Kansas area as well. and then it also includes the areas up in New England, so upstate New York into northwestern Massachusetts, much of Vermont, almost all of New Hampshire, except for the eastern parts, and then western parts of Maine, as well as the Carolinas all the way down into Georgia. You guys also have 5% chance of you seeing wind gusts over 58 miles per hour within 5 miles. Then we get into our tornado risk, and it's not as large as what people would think it would. And it's actually, this is good because, we kind of need a little bit of a break after what has happened over the past week. So, too high risk. I don't think you guys really understand how extremely rare it is to have two high risks within almost a week of each other. Now, the last time that that's happened in March was sometime in around the 1980s. I can't remember the either the 1970s or 1980s. I actually think it's the 1970s. I can't remember the specific date, but I remember it was said in my Discord server. That was the last time it happened. So, in March, all right, April, May, you can expect that because that's when tornadoes are actually supposed to, ramp up and fire off. The last time that this has happened in March was all the way back in the last century. That's kind of crazy to think about. So, the good news is that the risk for tornadoes is kind of depleted now. Well, at least today, say for Friday, your 2% is in the upstate New York into the Vermont region, as well as the northwestern parts of Massachusetts into the western parts of, as well as a small 2% northern parts of. So that is the good news. Is that one thing is one's near mountains, so it's kind of rural for the most part. The other is kind of out there. I mean, well, I shouldn't say it's rural actually. New York has Syracuse and Albany. Kansas, this area doesn't really have as much population as well, so most of these areas still something to keep in mind as well. As we head into tomorrow, if it loads, on cue, we have our enhanced risk that we were talking about. And I mentioned before, this is for the Ohio River Valley into the Mississippi River Valley, a little bit of parts of Dixie Alley south. So, now I mentioned before that the areas in the deep south that got heavily impacted by strong tornadoes yesterday very well could be spared. According to this risk right here, it does look like that's the case. You can see this little black dot right here. That's Birmingham. Actually, pull Birmingham right there. Atlanta is also out of the risk there. There was a strong tornado that was near last night, so that's in the general thunderstorm risk. Thank God for that. But the areas that aren't that are going to be impacted that had tornadoes, south central Tennessee areas. That's in at the moment. We're going to kind of work our way up as we typically do. So with hail, 15% chance across the board here for Ohio River Valley. So southwestern parts of Indiana, southern parts of Illinois, southeastern parts of Missouri, much of Arkansas except for the northwestern parts, northern Mississippi, northwestern Alabama, central to western Tennessee, and then central to western parts of Kentucky. The 5% extends all the way around. Actually, I should mention that the Texarkana region is in the 50% as well. Something to keep in mind as well. But the 5% also extends around the 15%. It doesn't go like any crazy outside the. I mean, one thing I will say is that the 5% does breach the Dallas vicinity, so the Dallas metro area could see some severe storms, but nothing too serious. Shreveport's also in that 5%, and extending out and around, not all the way up to Jackson. Don't even think Jackson. Oh, good lord. Not what I wanted. Go away. This is what I said. This is what I meant by me not being on the best technology to stream, because this laptop is not exactly the best. But it is what it is, honestly. So we'll put cities here. There we go. See that Jackson not exactly in this risk. That's the good. Birmingham's right on the border, but not really. Cincinnati's out of the risk. Peoria's out of the risk. Kansas City for sure is out of the risk. Um, and then OKC and Tulsa, you guys are most likely out. Wind, you also have your 15%, which is basically the hail risk, except a little bit larger. Yeah, 15% doesn't really expand a whole lot. So I'll just say it stays the same. It's just the 5% that gets larger, which extends further into northeastern parts of Illinois, northwestern parts of Indiana. So really close to Lake. I'd say about like 30 miles south of Chicago. That's when the actual severe wind could be the case in the whether you're in a 15 or you're in a 5, that's your percentage, that's your chance of you getting severe winds over an hour. And this is where, as we move off into the tornado risk, this is the reason why there is the enhanced risk at the moment, and that is because there is a 10% chance for tornado within a fine corridor. It's from Memphis all the way over to places like Jackson, Tennessee, Bartlett, Tennessee, South Haven, Mississippi, Collierville, Tennessee. It's actually really close to Jones. So if you know anyone who lives near Jonesboro, they also could potentially be at risk as well. There is a expansive 2% that basically takes over much of the 15% for wind. Actually, it goes into the 5% as well. But you also have your 5% chance for tornadoes. This will extend from practically central to eastern parts of Arkansas, northern parts of Mississippi, parts of Alabama, central to western parts of Tennessee, and central parts of Kentucky. With the 5% also extending right around through the Ohio River Valley, all the way back down into the Mississippi River Valley. So little parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Missouri also. 10% is localized right in the middle of that 5%. So extreme eastern parts of Arkansas, extreme northwestern parts of Mississippi, and practically western parts of Tennessee. Live over there, you guys have a 10% chance for tornado center. And stay up to. And then we'll go into day 3 before we head into the models and what all could be. Actually, I do want to make a note real quick before we head into day 3. To the people who live a bit further south of the enhanced, all right, so places like north of Tupelo, like not exactly like from Tupelo and northward, just actually I'll say north of Tishomingo. You guys know where Tishomingo? From Tishomingo and north, all the way up to the 10%, you guys could potentially see the risk expand, the tornado risk, in my honest opinion. And that's just a gut feeling. There's also a bit of evidence to back that up that I'll show you all, but I personally feel like the 10% could be expanded a bit further. That's just something to keep. But day 3. Let's take a look at day 3, and we'll be able to show you that there's a massive slight risk. This is Sunday here. Massive slight risk for places of the mid-Atlantic. And actually, I'm in the marginal. Whoopee, this is great. I mean, I want to actually see. I was about to say, let me read what the Storm Prediction Center says so that I can figure out if I should chase or not. No, I'm not going to. Unless if it goes enhanced and there's like a 10% chance. Although that is a significant severe. Right over the mid-Atlantic, I might chase. So we'll figure it out once we get there. Massive slight risk that extends through the DC metro areas, almost all the way up into Baltimore, through Delaware, like Dover, all the way down to like Ocean City, down to beginning of the Outer Banks near Virginia Beach, cuts around down to the bottom, excludes Wilmington, all the way over to places like Raleigh, into Charlotte, up into the northwestern parts of South Carolina, northern parts of Georgia, a little bit of Alabama, a little bit of eastern Tennessee. Uh, Actually, practically all of Virginia is in the slight risk, and then the central parts of the Appalachian. I'm so used to saying that because I live in Martinsburg. That's what they. That's what. Um, but Appalachians, correct here. Um, all the way up into marginal risk extends into Dixie Alley, all the way up into Pennsylvania and Jersey. And so, if you live in these areas, you need to monitor this, especially the people in the significant severe. You guys see that black box with dotted lines. If you're in that black box with dotted lines, that is your hatch risk. You get a 10% chance or greater probability of a significant severe weather event that could happen within 5 miles. I'm actually really curious. I really am. Let's read what we have here. Strong to severe storms are possible from the Carolinas into the mid-Atlantic region Sunday afternoon. Strong to severe storms will be possible from the central to southern Appalachian, Tennessee Valley. Supercells. Let's see. Damaging. A few tornadoes and some hail will also be possible before the front moves offshore. Okay, so I guess we're gonna have to really watch that with the. This might be a longer than a usual episode video because I am actually curious whether or not I can stream it. Well, not either stream or chase while streaming. That would be pretty cool. Maybe you guys can actually see what goes through my head in regards to. I might actually do a briefing of this on Saturday night, just to see, where I should chase. That actually wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't know. That might just be me making reviews. I'm a bad. Don't look at me. Anyways, so let's get into what's gonna happen tomorrow, because most of the areas that are being impacted today, Friday, is already ongoing. It's 9:30 in the morning. I'm super late with making this video, but it is what it is. We'll get there. Okay, so this is Sunday morning here, and you can already see, well, not Sunday, Saturday morning. You can already see there's a cluster of thunderstorms in the northern parts of Alabama and Mississippi. And you can continue to see they kind of just linger there. And then all of a sudden, once it gets to around the 3 o'clock hours, you can start to see larger amounts of thunderstorms develop in northern parts of, or northeastern parts of Mississippi. Which is the reason why I'm kind of thinking that they should extend it further south. Especially since most of the moisture, as you continue to head further down south, there tends to be a lot more moisture since you're getting closer and closer to a larger mass of water, other known as the Gulf of Mexico, and that continuously gives off energy. The closer you get to it, the more energy. Hurricane, which there is no energy. The hurricane is the energy. But kind of see what I mean as to how thunderstorms could potentially fire off and become a bit more of a risk for southern Tennessee, northern parts of Mississippi, and parts of Alabama. That's kind of the reason why I think the 10% could be extended a bit further south, but I guess we'll have to see as event that does the thunderstorms stay where they are. Thunderstorms even exist. That's the whole thing about weather for you. You just gotta continue to watch the models, put your own input into it, try and best you can forecast. By 3 o'clock, that's when thunderstorms really start to kick off. It'll be in northern Mississippi, eastern parts of Arkansas, and then more thunderstorms begin to develop. They start to initiate heavily at around the 5 o'clock hours near the Missouri areas, as well as the Tulsa areas. That'll form into an elongated line that that actually goes through St. Louis and all the way up in, not exactly into the Annapolis, still a lot of storms forward. And during that time exactly, um, from 7 to 8 o'clock, there could be a lot of thunderstorms that really just reside in the southern parts of Tennessee. And one unforeseen risk that we didn't mention before, that this area could have an elevated flooding risk as well, due to the fact that all these thunderstorms really are just sitting over. That's something to keep in mind too. That continues overnight hours and in Sunday. And we'll take a look at the name quick. Excuse me, I haven't taken. Time. All right, Mid Atlantic. Let's see what's going on. All right, so here we go. I want to take a look at Sunday morning. See, this is when the line of thunderstorms start to move on. Low pressure starts to eject through the northeast, actually moves over the Great Lakes, like Lake Erie, and about to move on to Lake Ontario. Your line starts to elongate from Kentucky all the way down Alabama. See those thunderstorms start to move off, and by 5 o'clock Eastern, that's when thunderstorms start to roll into everyone's vicinity. So from 5 o'clock and onwards, that's when places like North Carolina and South Carolina should monitor this. Same with my area, South Central PA into Maryland, Virginia. That's when very strong gusty wind threat, maybe even body hail. Couple of double check. Worst case scenario, other known. Let's just take a look. That is always something. And we just, how I function is I look at the worst case scenario and I plan accordingly. So, yeah, that is that is a 3. That is a photograph. That is a photograph. I guess I might chase after all. Holy crap. Um yeah, that is a photograph and a half. All right. So usually I'm going to give you all a disclaimer right now. I am really biased towards my area and I tend to get overexcited when stuff gets into my general vicinity because let's be honest here, who doesn't? So stop bullying me. Um I will say these storms are moving off at like 60 miles per hour, so any instance of me chasing is very small. Although those areas that which it's heading off into is very flat, so I easily chase and have a good Jesus. All right. To any of you who don't know what you're looking at, allow me to explain. Because at this point, you guys may be looking at me real laughing at what all is happening in front of you, and it just looks like a bunch of squiggly lines. Might think I'm a little not exactly right, but believe me, it's actually not as hard. So this right here, this box right up here, with the squiggly lines. Yeah, I know, more squiggly lines. This actually is a hodograph. This indicates what a weather balloon would take if you were standing up in a satellite and you were looking straight down at it from launch to death. What you would be looking at. So the weather balloon would go move up. It would look like it would be moving. It curls off to the right, and it goes backwards, and then it goes backwards again, and then it goes right again, and then all the way over status. So what we're looking at right here, and the one thing that I actually am really impressed about with all of this, I didn't actually expect this to happen, is this photograph from this 0 to this 3 over here curls off to the right significantly. And usually when we see this red line curl off to the right, that's when you know that it is indicative of there being spin in the atmosphere. That spin can generate the chance for some supercells and maybe even. So that's something to keep in mind with that. That this photograph actually is a tornadic photograph. And you can see right here in the possible hazard type, much as I would love to disagree that it is a particularly dangerous situation tornado, I do agree with the TOR or tornado instance. Then you also have your convective available potential energy, which is just long for CAPE. That is basically the measure of the buoyant force in the atmosphere, warm air rising and cold air sinking. The displacement between the two is measured in effective available potential CAPE. So the more CAPE there is, the more energy there is in the atmosphere. Typically, you would want over 2,000 in order for you to consider supercells or strong supercells. And in this case, you do have that. You have 2,200. It's forecasted to be 2,470. So it's not really that big of an issue. Usually there isn't a lot of CAPE. That is kind of impressive. Your lapse rates. This shows you what's happening with updrafts or what could happen with your updrafts. 8.2 at surface to 3 kilometer. That is very good. You would typically want 6.5 and above, particularly 7. I would love it if it was 7 for any thunderstorm to develop. But it's 8.2. It's pretty good. Very good. But your 6.3, it's very close to 6.5. So it could do something, but it lacks a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. So it's not exactly the best. Downdraft CAPE is 700. Watts or all right. Let's get back into some other stuff here. Your dew points are 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything above 60 is typically all right. Your helicity right here, this blue number right is 456. Usually if it's above 200, that's when you can consider tornadoes, because helicity just measures the amount of spin in the atmosphere at a specific spot, or at least the energy of that spin spot. So the displacement between the surface and the winds in the inflow is your helicity. So got that 456. That's kind of 2 times more than what you're required to have, which is 200. So that's pretty mental. Your wind shear is pretty strong. Your surface to 1 kilometer is 35. You would want at least 20 in order to consider storms. Surface to 3 kilometers, 56. You would want at least 40 to consider storms. And yeah, that is a very strong. There's a very nice presentation from this sounding. Actually, bad. So we might actually see a little bit of a tornadic event here in particular north of Richmond to Potomac River Valley area. So we'll see. I might chase. I might not. But I guess you guys might want to turn on your notifications if I do. Plug moment. Don't. I want to take a look at one more sounding. I'll take a look from the. This one typically overdoes events extremely. Actually, saturates. Gives too much moisture. I want to take a look at that. If this could load, that would be great. Great. That would be great. Tell me this thing doesn't go out to some. Okay, there we go. Got some general risk here. So let's take a look. A little bit of capping inversion. Okay. So it's not exactly the best thing in the world. Not exactly the. Well, we'll see. As we get closer, I'll start to make about what could be impacting them. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I wanted one sounding. Oh, stop! I hate this laptop. I want to take a look at the event tomorrow. This is sounding from. See across the board, conditions are good, but not recognized. There's like thunderstorms that form out in front of the line. So, according to this model, I should take a sounding here. I want to see what happened. Photographs are pretty small. Cape is still all right. Helicity is still good. Lapse rates at surface to 3 garbage because it's 6. 3 to 6 kilometers actually not bad. Big capping inversion. Not exactly contaminated. So I'll take that as legitimate. At 1 kilometer up in the sky, 800 photograph as I'm. Okay, your wind shear is meh. It's good. Good enough. Critical angle is 70. You would want it to be around 90, give or take. So that's not bad. It's getting better. So your event tomorrow most likely is going to be better than. Anyways, as I mentioned, that's pretty much going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share the video. This was a bit of a mess. I know it was. But you know what? What else is new with my channel? I hope you guys love me. Yeah. So, if you guys were to take anything from this video, it's that stuff's gonna happen on Saturday, Mississippi River Valley and the Ohio River Valley, that on Sunday I might chase in the minute. Let's hope to God that I do. I haven't chased. I still haven't seen my first tornado on the ground. I've seen multiple funnels. I've seen damage after one. I was literally a half a mile away from seeing a tornado, and I wasn't in the right position, so I missed it. So let's hope that we see a tornado that doesn't impact anyone in the middle. That's going to be it for me. I'll see you guys in the next.